Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. It has been
Happy
a minute.
Friday.
It has been a minute, and a ton has happened since the last time that we were on the mics. Goodness gracious.
It feels like it's been like a month, but it's
It
technically only been about 2 weeks since we last had a
yeah,
show.
that is true. That is very true. Oh, so today's just us. And the reason it felt like it's been forever is because last week was Laracon. And I think a good way to spend hello Florian, a good way to spend this episode is I think doing like a bit of a recap. I don't want to maybe spend like the whole episode, but I think there's so much fun to talk about, not just like what happened at Laracon, but also
Oh
like
yeah.
stuff like I've got some updates on like my talk, how I think it went, and also like some things that I said that I would do that I didn't do. So
Okay.
what have you been doing the week since we got back?
Yeah. Hey Shane, good to see you. I have been kind of all over the place in a lot of ways. Well, I've been recovering physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it, for that. But I have been mostly just trying to catch up with everything that's happened since Laracon. So Laracon, uh, being a part of the Laravel team is awesome because it's one of those things where Laracon becomes, in a lot of ways, like our Super Bowl, if you want to call it that, where it is putting it on,
Million
and
percent
it
y'all
is,
Super
and
Bowl. Y'all go all
it's
out.
exactly it's for the Laravel community, but there's like this juxtaposition of where it's also for the Laravel team as well too in a lot of ways. It's
Mhm.
because
Y'all are like
like
super distributed.
oh yeah, incredibly distributed. And I met probably 20 plus people from the Laravel team that I had never met before at Laracon.
Ooh, that's
And
wild.
so it's one of those things where it's like it's doing that while also trying to meet and talk and chat with everyone who
Right.
has come to Laracon and be like, hey, you're cool too at the same time. So it's a lot, and I'm an introvert person for those who don't know. So it drains me, but it's a good kind of drain too. So I've just been like on uh on what's it called? Basically
Hibernation.
interaction
Yeah.
hibernation in a lot of ways. So
Yes.
this is the
Oh
first
man,
time
I
I've
feel that.
talked to anyone said in a week.
Oh, same,
Not
same.
really,
It's so
but
funny. Like, I I felt the same way. I consider myself pretty, I guess like socially capable. I guess the word. So it's like when I'm in big crowds and like big things like that, it's like I don't mind chatting with literal strangers. Like I could talk
yeah,
to someone I absolutely don't know, have a great time, have a really good conversation.
yeah.
But let me tell you, like the second we would like leave the venue, I would just be like straight to my hotel room and just I listened to Caleb's notes on work of his like recap, and
Me
he
too. Yeah.
I would just go sit in my room, and it's not like I was tired. I couldn't go to sleep because my brain had to process everything that just happened. And I was like, that is 100% the case. Like I can vividly remember just leaving the venue, going to my hotel room, and just sitting there for like a
Mm.
couple hours and not even going to sleep and just being like recovery. Like you don't want to, it's like with kids. If I don't, like, you've probably had this, like at night when you put the kids to sleep, even if you're like physically exhausted, you don't want to go to sleep because it's like, no, I have like an hour or two to be like an adult, like do
Yeah.
exactly what I want, how I want to do it. But I only have this short time. So it's like you'll make yourself more tired just to like feel in control of like what's happening. That's kind of how it feels whenever I'm in those type of situations.
Yeah, I had a lot of plan. It's one of those things where a lot of people, even people I was talking to, I got to meet so many cool people, and it's one of those things where it kind of helps me as well. I'm really good at connecting with someone if like someone starts a conversation. Usually, I'm not like the person to be like. I usually have good icebreakers in the sense of like, hey, what are you
Right.
doing, or like, what's your favorite thing to do, like that kind of thing. But I don't have to use them that much now because I have a lot of people, more people come up to me
Mm-hmm.
and so that
Right.
helps me in a lot of ways because I get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice.
But yeah, a lot of people. at the mostly technical after party, at a lot of like the dinners and after parties, a lot of them came up to me, were like, hey, like the first video I saw of you was like last year's Laracon when you were in the hotel room and like recapping
Right.
things. I was like,
Right.
interesting.
I
And
already
so
watched yours. It was so good.
it got me like hyped, and I was like, oh, I have to do that. I was already kind of planning on doing it because I brought
Mhm.
most of my stuff. But the first night, Tuesday night, I was so exhausted where I literally just, I think I started to put on like Happy Gilmore too because it was on.
Right.
I was with Caleb, not with him, but he
Right.
talked
Same.
about how he almost put
Yeah.
on Happy Gilmore too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those things where I just laid down and I was like, I really want, there's so much I could talk about, and I could, but it is like the mentally preparing myself to do that when I already had like these amazing conversations. I literally had to force myself the second night because I knew if I didn't do it, then I wasn't going to. Yeah.
Exactly. Do it now. Like there's something which, yes, the answer is yes, Shane. It is not a coincidence at all that they match. And also, what's up, Josh?
Hey,
Josh,
Josh. Josh was one of the person I got to meet. Yeah.
yes. He came up and said hey to me as well and got a good conversation. He used to be a diesel mechanic and then made his way into development in like the Laravel community, which is just wild to me.
That's awesome.
Like people come from such varied backgrounds and it's always fun. That's like one of my favorite things at like Laracon and like conferences is like hearing where like how people got to being there. But no,
that's a good topic of conversation. Then I'm curious. Then now you've been to one Laracon technically.
Correct.
You're kind of at. You were at a half of a day zero Laracon before.
Yeah. There we go.
As a basketball coach,
Dip my toe in the water, so to speak.
But you got to meet, between that and some other conferences, you've gotten to meet a good core group of Laravel people. What is like the thing that separates, and I'm not even looking for like hey, like give me a good Laracon pitch. I'm just curious of like what it sounded like just what you said is there's like a difference between you being at Laracon versus almost every other conference. Why do you think that is?
I would agree. I think it's just like I think Laracon fosters this it's like it's not that the people per se are that much different than any other people, but people feel more comfortable at Laracon.
Interesting.
Like I think it has always been in the DNA for everyone to, like Caleb mentioned it in his thing, which was like when you come to Laracon, the people who are famous, quote unquote, like the popular people are people who are just Laravel people who just build a lot of things in Laravel. And like, that's who everyone wants to talk to. And they want to talk to them because it's like, oh, hey, like this person is like, just like me. They just happen to have built like something that got really popular, but we're all just Laravel devs. We all love the same stuff. Whereas like, I think like a lot of other conferences, the speakers and the guests and like MCs, etc., are all like famous, like a little more like popular, a little more mainstream in the sense that it's like, it just changes the vibe, I think, a little bit. But like Laracon just feels like everyone is like expected to be like, you can talk to anyone and everyone's cool. I think it's like the number of people, like I tried to chat with Caleb Porzio a few times and it's just like, there's no chance. Cause like everyone just wants to go talk to Caleb and like, they feel comfortable talking to Caleb. It's not like they come up and they're like, can you sign my, paper? Like, blah, blah, blah. It's just like regular, like some dude come up and just was like talking about like his family and like the trips that they were taking around the mountains. And Caleb is just like all in listening. And I think that's how like everybody else is.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like this DNA of like, you can come and talk to anyone, get to know anyone, and you're not going to be like made to feel like less than because you don't meet this like certain status or anything.
Yeah. That was one of the things I was talking to, it's an interesting dichotomy. Yeah. Are you Jason
Always.
says poop bag haul bowling later.
Okay. Real quick. During the speaker, I guess it was like the golf tournament or something, or the dinner. it came like this came up naturally. I think probably because Aaron was talking about wearing gloves, and I just was like, well, like check this out. I've got this giant hallway, and I put them in like a Walmart bag. Oh, because somebody was talking about how stinky it is keeping all the diapers in the room, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, you don't keep them in the room. You just go throw them away. And I was like, in fact, and I told him the story about how like I put everything in a Walmart bag and I bowl it down this like giant hallway that we have in our house. And Dave from Mux, when Allie posted that tweet, he goes, "Wait, you were serious about this?" I was like, "What do you mean? Like who makes up a story about like throwing bags of poop down a hallway in such detail that I did that I like?" And I was just like so shocked. I was like, that would be so wild if I was just like in a group
Just
of people
lying.
and made up some story about doing that. It was like cracked me up.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, like during some of like conversations, it was crazy because it's one of those things where I know I am not even close to the level of familiarity or notoriety as someone like a Caleb Borzio or a Jeffrey Way or even like a
Or like
Pavilas
Taylor
or
or
oh
yeah,
yeah, of course, like Taylor, Adam Weather, all those. And so it's one of those things where it's I was talking to Jeffrey Way about this at the most technical. It was the first time I got to chat with him, even though I did a Laracast course.
yeah.
I probably had messaged him maybe like
It was so
once, I
funny how he was
think.
like, "Yeah, I don't really talk to people." Like I saw somebody tweet,
Uh,
it was like the first time I actually saw Jeffrey, and it's like my
I've
third
worked with him
choice.
for 8 years, kind of, yeah. And Ian Landsman about this, and it's one of those things where it's like there's almost like this cool levels of like handoff where it's people who are coming up to me and saying, "Hey, because you did this or because of you, now I like know more things in my job, or like I've gotten to like get promoted or have a job because of you." And that's crazy to me. But at the same time, then it's like this almost like a whole cycle of things because then I'm telling that same story to the Jeffrey Ways and the Caleb Porzios of the world. And
Right,
Caleb Porzio is telling that to the
of like
the
payable.
Taylors
Yeah.
and Ian Landsmans of
Yeah,
the world.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
crazy.
It's
It's
awesome.
wild.
It's awesome.
And I think you don't get because of the maybe like the level of how long Laravel has been around and how the core group of that kind of people hasn't changed much. I think that
Mhm.
lends itself to this cycle that you probably wouldn't get elsewhere because that core group changes so often, even in like in
Right.
stuff like the React
Yeah,
community and
yeah,
stuff like
that's
that.
really true. And it's like very like like I think other communities are more niched down. Uh Look at these Torque boys just all up in our comments.
Yeah.
Love them.
What's up, Taylor?
They were at Laracon.
They were at Laracon. Yeah.
They were a super fun hang. So much energy from them.
Had some golf gloves and
Oh, they looked like there to play. They were ready to go. One that Taylor mentioned this in like a tweet the other day, and I was thinking the same thing. Where it's like there is something about like doing work in a hotel room. Like Taylor was like, or like in an airport. He was like, missed my flight because I was like working too deep at an airport and like didn't hear them call like my gate number to board, and so he missed his flight. And like same in like a hotel room where you just get this like super deep flow of work.
mm,
And like when you were talking about, oh, I need to do those videos tonight, it's like so true where it's like there's something about being in a hotel room in a different environment with like you have no responsibilities other than yourself. Like I don't
oh
have
yeah.
to go check on children. Like I don't need to like make sure that like people are fed, or like I need to make sure that like I would rather be spending time with my wife, but guess what I can't do? Spend time with my wife. So like I might as well just like crush this
Yeah,
like
just
work that I
be
want to get.
dialed in at the NBC suites in St. Louis, as Taylor says.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, so I
All
don't know.
right, so
That just like made me think about it. Taylor popping up.
oh yeah, yeah. So those are the conversations. But tell me about your talk. So like for those listening or watching right now, I didn't get to listen to too much of the talks. I've since re-listened and I watched Will's and I got to watch almost all that. I think I still have a couple more to go. But I was in this
Right.
content room kind of locked away
You were
of my
like,
own
in the corner.
volition.
I had to like come find you because I wanted to like see you and chat. And I was like, "Where's Josh? Where'd y'all put him?"
We recorded quite a bit of stuff, and some of the shorts are already starting to
Yeah,
come out on the Laravel channel. But it was fun. But the downside was I didn't get to see much of it
Mhm.
live. So tell me, how did it go? What were your thoughts?
Oh, happy to.
Let's do
But
it.
also, look at this. We've got an official company account talking about how great we are. Did you see that?
Yeah, I know. We
Just kidding, Bill's Ben.
aw.
He
Let's just
just
say
accidentally was on the wrong YouTube channel.
we will
Now
take
we know the man
sponsors.
behind the mask. We know the
We
man
will take
behind the mask.
we will take sponsors.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely will.
yeah.
No shame whatsoever. The conference went great. I ran into a little bit of the same issue that you had, which was yeah, definitely always if you're gonna pop in on our stream, we're always gonna be putting you on blast. So watch back. I was the last speaker slot,
Hmm.
which was like the last like a speaker. They had like the big panel after me on the community update, but I was like the last
Yep.
speaker, which happened
Yep.
at the end of the second day. And this was like I was coming into Laracon and I was like, okay, I did one talk at a small conference. I'm generally a pretty confident guy. Like I'm not too stressed. I'll just practice enough and it'll be a really good time. And then I walked into that venue. Oh my word. If none of y'all have seen the venue, like go check out one of the videos or the live streams that's on the Laravel channel right now. That venue was like the real deal. It was like where like
Big.
real rock concerts and stuff happen. And I just remember like walking in and being like, oh shoot, I need to practice like double the number of times. Like this is like super for real. And so because I was the last one, I spent like a whole lot of time practicing my talk, making sure I was like prepped and ready because I wanted to like crush it. I didn't want to mess up. It was the first time I was giving a talk in front of like such a big audience. And not to mention like an audience of people that are like my friends and like a ton of people I respect. Like it wasn't like a bunch of strangers. Like the previous conference was like, okay, like whatever. I don't really know any of these people. I want to do a good job, but I'm not like worried about it. This one, it was like, oh shoot, like all my buddies are here. Like I respect so many people here, even if I'm not like friends with them yet. I know that they are like super talented and I want to like have a good impression of like myself. So I think I like overcorrected into to like practicing too much. And so like I didn't get out and chat with like I think crowds as much. And like so like the first night with the party, the after party, I like showed up probably like over halfway through because I like went back to the hotel to practice before I was tired. And by the time I like showed up, they like booted us out of that there, like on the dot. Like I was like in like some really good conversations, and the people came up and were like, "Get out of here!" And I'm like, "What? What's happening?"
Yeah, I don't think I even saw you at that first night after party at that.
Yeah,
at that
no. I was there just long enough to like eat, and I chatted with like 3 groups of people, and then it was like, "See ya, bye."
See you.
Like, okay, and then I just went back to the hotel room because I didn't end up with like there was apparently like people that went and did like mini golf and other stuff, but
yeah, till like
I was
3
like
in the morning or something like that.
Thinking about my like talk again, and so I just went back and practiced. So
yeah, as Shane said, preparation is the best improvisation.
It is. There's like this like threshold that I like have decided on is like where it is I need to be for a talk, which is if I get to the point where I can say the whole thing from start to finish without needing to reference my slides, then like I'm no longer memorizing it. I've got it internalized to where like when I actually get up there, things feel natural. And if like something throws off my groove, like somebody yells, "We love you" from the crowd, looking at you, Torque Boys, like I'm not like, oh no, like I lost, like I had this like memorized. It's like, no, like I had a really good, like I know if I pause here or something interrupts me or something breaks, I like feel comfortable riffing and like jumping back in pretty easily because I like have like the whole world in my head. So there's like a line, like once I hit that, and now that I've got a better feel for it, I think the next time I won't have to practice as much because I'll like really understand when I've crossed that line. But talk went well.
It's funny because I'm like not the exact opposite, but I am not like that, and I almost prefer not to be like that when I've given talks in a lot of ways.
You do a lot of like you do like lessons from like a not necessarily a pulpit, but like from a stage a little more often, Mr. Pastor.
Yeah, I speak from a stage pretty often, I guess you could say,
Right.
in a lot of ways. But even for like the talks at Laracon India or Laravel Live UK and stuff like that, and there are different flavors and a lot of stuff that I am, I guess, you know, trained or prepared for in a lot of ways.
Right.
But most of the time, I kind of write out a manuscript in the sense that as I'm talking, I'm kind of like talking or writing as I would talk, and I write it out kind of word for
Okay.
word.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
And then what I do is I then prepare slides for it in the sense of like, okay, right here is where I definitely want to emphasize that, and then it
Right.
flushes out that manuscript a little bit more. Then I cut the manuscript and I talk through the slides once, and then I don't want to do it again. In the sense that the next time I do it, I want it to be okay. I know now that I have, I kind of memorize in my mind of like, hey, it's this slide into this slide into this particular point. But I never want the words to be rehearsed because I learned a long time ago, basically when I was trying to train my mind from hey, I am an actor presenting words on a stage to
Yeah.
I am myself trying to play myself.
Interesting.
I had this really hard time making that shift because I would memorize everything word for word down to like at this particular last second. I want to make sure that I take 1.5 seconds of a pause before I say this.
Yeah.
And now it's like
Felt natural. Yeah.
exactly. I that's the best way that I can feel more natural and that I feel most prepared because then I know
I
exactly
feel like
what
if I
I'm going
did
into.
enough of it, I could get there. Like I think
Yeah.
because this is my first one, I don't think I could do that because there's a lot of it that's like I really want to nail the messaging for this. Like it wasn't so much like the impact was how it was said, not like what was said in some areas.
Mm,
Like that's what I
yeah.
was like worried about. So I wanted to make sure I didn't on the spot. Like I'm good at riffing,
Oh
but
yeah.
I like ramble a lot if I riff.
Makes sense.
And I didn't want to ramble. I wanted to like nail it, hit the impact moment, kind of thing. So, but it makes a lot of sense. Like the more you do it, then you just get better at like, here is how I speak. Here are the phrases that I use, like, and how I say things
Yeah.
when I'm presenting. That it just becomes like clockwork. I bet. So, looking
Yeah.
forward to it being clockwork.
Yeah, Jason said this is pretty much true. I memorize to internalize, and then I make it yours. That's kind of like what you did too. You just
It is. I just over memorize. Just
over. There you go. You can over memorize.
But the talk went really well. I felt like the topic that I had really kind of nailed the like vibe of the conference, which is like what I was going for. And it felt like it was a good closer, like good way to wrap things up in a way that I tried to like hype people up to like leave here and go do something. And
got a lot of good feedback too, right?
I did in person. It's one of those, it's very hard on stage because like there are times when you're making your presentation where you're like, okay, here's a funny moment. Or like, here's a moment that's kind of
no one laughs.
Be like, oh, wow. And then like, you don't get anything up on stage and you're like, oh, they hate it. This is crap. Like nobody likes it. It's awful. It's like, I had those moments where it was very much a, like, I don't know if this is landing well. Is there anything special you do to manage your nerves? Asks Shane. And that is a great question. The answer is not yet. I do a lot of nervous pacing. I called my wife. I'll tell you what helped me this time. I called my wife when I had like probably like 30 minutes, an hour before. And she like answered the phone and I was talking to her and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, how can like I'm not doing okay? Like, she's like, "It sounds like you have like you're out of breath." And I was like, "Yeah, because I've just literally been walking laps around the venue like to get my jitters out because I can't be still." And so she like talking to her, she's like, pumping me up, telling me things to like make me feel confident and calm down and all this kind of stuff. And like that just like felt good. And then she was like, "I got something to send you." And she sent me right before my talk I went on, she sent me pictures of like my 3 kiddos and my daughter like yelling like, "We're so proud of you, daddy. You're going to do awesome." And then it was them like sitting up in front of like the big like the TV like getting ready for my talk. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness. Like this is like perfect. Like I don't care what happens anymore because like they are watching out of their way. They're watching the live stream and like they're proud of me. And I was like, I'm gonna crush this. So that helped me manage my nerves. I think like talking to people you care about and like taking a second to like realize like who do you really care thinks you do good. And it was my family, and they were already proud of me. Do you call your spouses often? Like all the time. I don't know about you, Josh, but like I call like anytime I'm going between places, like if I'm walking back to the hotel room for the conference for like lunch or to change or before like the after party or on the way back from the after party, it's like my default is like calling my wife and chatting.
I probably do less than I did before we had kids, honestly. Like now it's more of like if I'm calling, it's to talk to my kids. Otherwise, I can't talk to my wife unless my kids are asleep because they're just so loud.
They just interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Daddy,
let me talk to daddy. Daddy.
Yeah. But I did get to FaceTime at least like twice a day, or just like I would send like a video like in between little breaks and stuff like, hey girls, that kind of thing. So that kind of stuff always makes my day. But yeah, even Ben said yours is one of the only talks I sat all the way through because I was boothing, and it was a great
well,
one.
thanks. I appreciate that. There's one so speaking of my talk, the last thing before we move on to other things, because that's enough talking about me. I, as part of my talk, I did not actually show off the thing that I built that much. Because it was like there was so much that I wanted to cover, and I knew I could like. I think it would have been interesting for people to watch, like me do it a little more, but I just didn't have time to. So I figured since we've got a little more time here, what we can do is we can just like do another quick demo of the thing that I built. So this is, as I mentioned during my talk, and if none of y'all were there or haven't seen it yet, this is called Laravel Roguelike. This device that you're seeing and like everything that's about to happen is built exclusively with like Laravel, React, and Tailwind CSS. Like this is not like an image or anything. It's all just like divs and stuff, which was super fun to like figure out. But when you press this button, it like goes into a recording state, and you can see that the louder I am, the more these dots like move away. So this was like super fun thing to build. And when you stop recording and you press this like submit button, you get this like this map of like a game level. And inside this game level are a bunch of different enemies. And the way that the map is like generated is based off of the audio that I just recorded. So if I recorded like a different audio, it would be a completely different like generated level with a like completely different number of enemies.
It's so wild.
I love
it.
It's so fun to make. And like also fun to play. And so the whole goal of the level is to like meander around and try not to get like defeated and defeat. And then there's like fun stuff where it's like technically you probably shouldn't get hurt by enemies who are out of health, but that's a fun little like gotcha to pay attention to.
Gotcha.
Like, don't just walk into them even if you think you defeated them, because you can still get hurt. So it's like once I find all of the enemies and defeat them, then that's like you've beat the whole level. So I figured since I didn't actually do that, I should show people that the game actually works when you defeat everything versus just taking my word for it. You can also get game over, which I will show right after this. So yes, victory. Nice. Defeated all the enemies. And so you can restart it, or you can go back to like a list of the maps. So if you press the list, I didn't even show this off. Like on the list page, it shows you what the generated maps like look like a quick little like mini map version of it, and then like how many enemies there are. And then if you like actually like don't make it all the way and you get a game over because you got defeated, then it shows this like really cool little game over thing, and you can try to restart it. So yes, that was the official thing that I built.
That's awesome. Jason has
that,
a quick question. Like, what
okay.
made this be a thing? That was my question too. Like, what kick-started this? Because I know that your whole talk kind of like came to be of, hey, this ambitious framework. So what made this be the ambitious project?
The reason that this one was the ambitious project was because I was already like, I'm super into like generative art. Um, and generative art is like this idea of taking some sort of input, and the input is like the meaning. Like the
Okay.
input is like what provides purpose and meaning to whatever the output is. And then you take this input and you find a way to turn it into data. And you take that data to make some sort of what I call a visual algorithm.
Hmm.
Some people call it generative art, whatever, but it's just this idea of like you take data and you turn it into something, some kind of visual.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like really cool ones. One of the, I'll like in a future show, I think we should have somebody on who does this. There's this one guy who's like so good at doing this kind of stuff. And it's really interesting, but we can just show like images of like projects people have done.
Yeah.
But and they mean something just like art because like the inputs into it. So I thought this one would mean a lot because like the input was the crowd. Like that was the point of the talk, was like, hey, we're going to make something together that
Mm.
is like something we did. So
Yeah.
like I recorded everyone in the crowd yelling their favorite code editor, and I thought that would be like the connection for the thing. Like that's the connection, is like everybody knows their voices created what they're seeing. And then I was at one point going to do like some other type of like more classical art, generative art thing, where I would just like show some kind of visual, and then we could
Mm.
do other like new ones with like different things. They could see a bunch of new visuals. But then the start of this last year, I got into like building a game engine from scratch, and I was like, this is really fun. And I was like, what is a conference full of nerds more probably going to be more interested in, like an art thing or a video game? And I just figured a video game would probably be a lot more interesting and have a lot more like technical bits, interesting bits to kind of talk through as well, versus like a here's how I thought through like the color theory, like the how to balance the colors, and here like all that stuff is like probably way less interesting than like I built a video game. Like that just felt, it just felt better for the crowd, and felt
Yeah.
pretty ambitious to be able to say like, hey, let's turn audio into a playable video game.
You probably learned a lot though, like in the process of like building that video
Oh
game, I
man,
would say.
it was wild. It was absolutely wild, the amount. And like I talked through a lot of it when my talks, if you want to search for it in the live stream, and then probably sometime in the next couple weeks they'll cut it out and share it, and I'll make sure to post it. But I talk through a lot of the details of like, well, how did I even figure this out? What things are needed in the browser to like make this work, etc.
Yeah, I think audio as an art is like really interesting because you see it like a little bit more cliched ideas of it, but you see like people getting tattoos of like, oh, this is my grandma saying I love you kind of thing. And it's just a waveform. Like stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting because there's it's almost like a fingerprint, I think,
right,
in a lot of
right,
like in
100%.
audio form because it's never going to be exactly the same. Like if I said hello and you said hello, completely different waveform just because of the tone of our voice and that kind of thing. It's why like I've tried generative voice AI stuff, even cloning my own voice, and it never, like my wife,
Sounds a little off. Yeah.
yeah, maybe someone like you or others could hear like, oh, that's probably him. I don't know, just different
Yeah.
microphone,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like my wife would be able to tell, or people extremely close to you in a lot of ways. So it's like it's so unique that I love that aspect of generation. I was actually making a video. I haven't finished it yet, but I was making a video about the web audio API,
It's so
where
cool. I barely
it's
scratched the
really
surface.
fun.
There's such a lot of cool stuff in there.
Where it's like
So
you
many
can
project ideas
get
already. Just
text
working on
specific
this.
notes too. And like I was basically like, as a basic example, I don't know if you've seen like some of those like reels or TikTok videos where it's like you like say do re mi fa and you
Right,
try to
right, right.
like
And it
get
like
the thing to
moves the
pass.
player. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Those
Yeah,
are so cool.
I started building one of those and it was so
Oh
fun.
man, that's so fun. Oh, I love that. Also, thank you, Emmett. I am very proud of this, and I was proud of the talk. It was really fun after the talk because a lot of people came up and talked to me, not about like the cool thing that I built. They're like, "Wow, like your slides looked really good, and the talk was like the demo was cool." But and there's like always a but. Is like, but like that idea that you talked about of like ambitious projects are like what made your career and like how you got into your career and how you found like this long time horizon of betting on yourself. People would come up and just be like, hey, like I totally resonate with that, or because either that happened to them or like they used to be that way and then they kind of like have gotten complacent and they're like, that feels like I really want to start doing this again. Thank you for talking about like all this kind of stuff. And that was like originally what I wanted. Like that's what I wanted more than the demo and all this other stuff, was just this idea of like inspiring people to bet on yourself, to like try things. For instance, like a fabulous example of this, I don't know, like Shane is currently doing this exact same thing. Him and Simon working on native PHP. Like that is just absolutely wild. That like they're just like, what if we could build mobile, like native mobile apps with Laravel as a framework?
No, it's crazy because it's almost it's kind of like what we talk about every week in some way, shape, or form. It's like each one of these individual projects, each one of these ideas that come to light, if you will, usually always start with this idea of like this would be really interesting to make happen. Like, what if this actually happened? And you did a Riff and Refine shout out in the talk as well.
Yeah, had to. This has become like my favorite weekly pastime, and I knew that it would be so much more fun. Like all these awesome new faces jumping in on the chat. We are so thankful for y'all being here. Hopefully, we've got some fun guests lined up in the coming weeks, so we'll have a lot of fun.
Speaking of talking better and native PHP, right? There you go.
Right. Native PHP, talking better, ambitious projects. We got somebody who built a wooden flipboard over the past 6 years. That might be coming on to chat with us too. So
there you go.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun. I think the rest of this year, every Friday is just gonna keep getting better and better. And I think one thing that that this conference kind of solidified for me was that like you've got to get out and see people. And I think like that's one thing we've talked about with our show, which is just like, yes, you can do ambitious projects on like, and I've done that for a lot of my career and you could be very successful, but like it's so much more fun and so much more can happen. Just as an example, like because I went to this conference, I met someone. I'm going to keep things anonymous right now because things are in motion. And I met someone new who now knows who I am. And then somebody else that I know is looking for like a new job. And so I just like threw it out like, hey, like if you're looking, like, is anybody looking for this type of developer? And the person who I met at Laracon was like, hey, we actually have a bunch of open roles for that. And they would never have like seen that if we hadn't met. And then I was able to connect, those two people together. And now like there's like an interview that's going to happen for like one of the roles at that company.
That's awesome.
And so it's like things like that where it's like you can make friends, you can have ambitious projects from your house on the internet, but there's just something about like relationships and building them in person that is way more meaningful and like deepens like the trust between people faster, that you just can't, as great as remote work is. And I love, and I would not give it up. I definitely am glad this year I decided to like prioritize getting out of my house and getting to some conferences. Because like for somebody who's like willing to put themselves out there, it's just like such a amplifier for that like trait in you.
It really is. It's crazy because you kind of mentioned this in your talk as well, but it's, ambitious projects don't have to always start with like an ambitious starting point either too, where it's like,
right. Yeah. 100%.
this whole trajectory could have been pinpointed down to you had a layover a year ago that you had some
Very
extra
true.
time and
That is very
replied to
true.
a random tweet about coaching.
Right. Absolutely. It all
That
just
wasn't
started like
super
trying to grab
ambitious.
lunch with somebody that I was like friends with on the internet
Yeah.
and spiraled from there, which is just wild. Also, Jason, for those of you who don't know, Allie has officially started back to school, which I'm married to two people. One is Summer Alley and the other one is School Alley. School Alley is officially back as as of today.
Good thing she doesn't
So
listen to this. So.
she does. She pops
Oh,
in
okay. There.
like sometimes she used to comment on like the first episodes, but she'll like every time I like get off during the summertime, I'd get off the call and like go check on her and get like a break from being in front of the computer. And she'd make some smart comment, some like way to roast us, like you and me.
Oh no.
She'd like say something when I went to go see her, how she was like, yeah, I checked in for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then I got bored because y'all are like boring. And so, so it's like, oh, thanks, babe.
It's kind of an honor to be roasted by her. So like I'll take it as a compliment.
Okay.
So
Did you see this? I need to find
Was she roasted Taylor Otwell?
Taylor Otwell.
Yeah, I was like,
so
that's
funny.
my boss. Like, cool down.
Well, what's funny is that like it's Mr. Laravel. Like Allie was just like, what is he like catching strays? Like, what does that even mean? So like if for those of y'all who don't know, I will try to find it and I'll post it in the comments here in a little bit. But my wife like had some tweet about like, so proud of Will. He did such a great job. Like his family's here cheering him on. It was like a picture of my kiddos and stuff. And then Taylor commented on that and it was like, she said like he did such a good job. So proud of him for speaking, even if it's a nerd conference or like a bunch of nerds or something like that. And Taylor comments that was like, he did really awesome. And then he was like, also me catching strays, some nerd conference. and then Allie in pass, like Allie just like comments and says like, well, I hear Laravel is the framework for ... being made fun of. Like trying to do like a play on like the framework for ambitious projects.
Yeah.
And like just complete. And I was like, Allie, do you know who that is? And she was like, no, why? I was like, that's like the person who like created and is CEO of like that conference and that whole framework. And so she just started laughing. It's like, nobody's safe.
Yeah. The Taylor Otwell says he did awesome. I'm catching strays over here with some nerd conference.
Correct. I saw that and I was laughing. And then Allie like tweeted that out before like I even had a chance. And I'm like, man, she is so funny. And she like literally no one's safe. It is 100. If you're safe from Allie being roasted by my wife, it's because like she doesn't like you, like doesn't know you. Either she doesn't know you or she doesn't care for you.
Oh man.
Listen, you could have just left that at Allie chooses violence. She's savage. She's hilarious though.
Oh man. That was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Oh man. So
all right. Speaking of your conference, I do have a topic that kind of like came to mind. I do not know, so I apologize. I wrote this. I had this in my notes from what day was that? I had this in my notes from Friday, July 25th.
Oh dang.
And so I think that was our last show, if I recall correctly. And so I don't know if this was something that Rob Hope had said on the show, or if it was something I like started writing out later on. I can't remember exactly when, but I remember it again, and maybe it was like a post-show talk with Rob because we have a lot of those.
Yeah, that's like I think that might be my favorite thing about having a show like this and having people on is like getting to just chat with them afterwards.
Yeah,
and after they're like fully comfortable, then like they just like keep talking.
Yeah, it was fun. But I wrote this quote and I was reminded of it again, and I kind of put this as a topic. I kind of put this as a topic entitled "Rejoicing at Negative Feedback." And I'm curious, and maybe you didn't have any negative feedback, and that's probably good, and that's a good thing that you didn't have any negative feedback on your talk. But every single time I kind of like think about Caleb Porzio and especially his talk last year, he had so much negative feedback, mostly from Reddit,
Right.
never usually in person, mostly from Reddit. But this quote that I wrote down was, once you've started to get negative feedback, you know that you've broken through. It's
Right.
something that has shifted the tides.
That's
And I
a
can't remember if Rob Hope said it or if it was somewhere after.
what he said made you think of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I was thinking of like, I have recently started to try to post more on my personal channel and just like trying to create more content. Like
Right.
I have an editor, AJ, now who like has been helping out with that and just making it easier. And, you know, one of the results of that is a lot more negative feedback, usually in terms of like, hey, like this sucks. You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I saw your tweet where it's like, you hit the wrong audience.
When it's like when all of a sudden like most of like the videos
Right.
dislikes over likes and that kind of thing. And but it also like I think, you know, Aaron Francis, friend of the pod, and Ian kind of have said this multiple times on the Mostly Technical podcast as well, where it's like,
Mhm.
you usually don't just want positive feedback, because then you know you're either hitting the wrong audience or you're doing something wrong, and you don't have the people around you who are critically speaking to it. And if you just have negative feedback, then you're probably then the content itself or what you're trying to put
You're
out is
missing
probably not.
something. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're missing something. So I'm curious what you think of, like, where does that sweet spot fall, and then what is your specific filter to take that? And then I want to share like some of my thoughts I've been thinking
Yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I have not heard any negative feedback about my talk. I'm interested to see once it becomes like a clipped YouTube video.
Hmm.
There's so this is actually hilarious. So like the speakers were like going back through the live stream looking at comments,
Yeah,
um, just to see like what people would say during their talk, because like we can't see that while we're up there. And it's like
yeah,
good feedback to see, like obviously it's like pretty straightforward that like everyone in the audience is going to be like super supportive at Laracon. Like
yeah.
everyone is like supportive. They know you've
N-
like put a lot of work
n-
into it and there's like a
No
lot of respect
booze or
there.
anything. Yeah,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Even if you mess up, people are gonna be like, dude, couldn't even tell. Like even they're just like everyone's really nice. So people were like looking back through like the live comments and stuff. And like what happened with my talk was that the talk right before mine at a developer conference was a talk about if you should do like interactive rebases, and brought up the conversation of like rebasing versus like merging, when you're like dealing with like upstream changes. And
no.
so for 75% of my talk, the entire live stream chat was just still arguing about rebasing and like merge conflicts, etc., etc. And so I was like, this is hilarious. Like nobody's paying attention because they're all just like furiously typing about like which way, like what their Git workflow is, and like mine's better than yours. And so
Oh
it's like
man.
hilarious. So like I think I dodged a lot of those bullets because like nobody was paying attention. They were distracted by their opinions.
You're just
And I think
background noise at that
right,
point.
right, exactly, exactly. So I'll be interested to see if anything pops up when like the video officially like comes out in isolation. But I
Yeah.
also think the one thing you said where it's like you've not hit, I would call it escape velocity yet. Like
Okay.
nobody knows me. Like
Hmm.
this was my very first Laracon. This was like I'm not even like a Laravel person, so like people aren't like, oh, he's like somebody who contributes to Laravel projects. We recognize the name. Like I'm just like tangentially there because I have relationships with like a lot of Laravel people and I love the community. So like
No.
this year was kind of my like
Break.
coming out to say like, hey, I love Laravel. I'm gonna be here for a while, whether you want me or not. And so like that's like what I wanted my talk to kind of say.
Yeah.
So it was like there's not a lot in it to be picky about. Whereas
Hmm.
like somebody like Caleb, who's like, oh, it's Caleb. Like Caleb's been around for a while, and like Caleb's building a package we all use and have opinions on. Like nothing I talked about was something that people use, and I think that's when people start getting like nasty
Yeah.
and opinionated, when it's like, hey, you built this thing and like I think it's stupid because I do this other thing instead. And like same with
Yeah.
your stuff where it's like the video that you had about like databases and booleans, like guess what? A lot of developers have opinions on
Oh,
how
yeah.
to deal with like database things. So it was nice because I think I am like, oh yes, like, hello Henri, how are you doing, bud? Like Henri says here, like I'm just on the periphery. Like I'm not a core Laravel person. Nobody, like nothing I presented had strong opinions that people would like rail against. So I look forward to finding ways to do that because I think you're
Yeah.
right. Like you're not making the right kind of impact until you get those, because that means like you've not done something that people do do enough to have an opinion on, is I guess what I would say. So you've got to like find a lane with your content to get that kind of feedback where it's like people watch it because they're like, oh, like I want to hear Josh's opinion on this. And then there's a lot of the internet who is like, well, Josh's opinion is stupid. I'm not like nothing I've done so far is like, oh, Will has an opinion about this XYZ that I care about.
Yeah. Do you think, because like obviously design is probably more opinionated than even development. Do you think that it's almost like this thing of like people slowly understand, hey, you know, that I don't like that design, but it looks fine. Like it's yours.
I think I don't really post, like I don't post a lot of design. Like I think to get reactions, you have to post frequently and you have to post opinions. And with my approach to content in general, has never been like, hey, here's how you should do something. It's always been, hey, here's this cool thing that I've done.
Yeah. Okay.
Check it out. Which is like, that's just like the way I like to do stuff. I think I have a talk coming up next month. I think that one is going to garner a lot more opinionated feedback because it's a mix of it. Because I'm talking, yes, I've got like, I'm doing demos and I'm talking about like some more cool techniques and stuff to capture that part of which is me, which is like, hey, here's this cool thing that hopefully you can learn something from to like take into your own projects. But I'm also like making a big part of this talk about like, hey, here are some opinions on AI and design. And I think that's going to get like contentious with the crowd that I will be at. So I look forward to having our show after that one and updating you. But I think I would love to hear your perspective because like I don't have anything based on personal experience where I've gotten negative feedback because I've not really found a niche in the same way that you have of content where people want to talk about their opinions, whether they're kind or not.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because like, so I feel like my personality is one that, you know, if someone was to critique something, even if it was a personal attack, I am not usually easily offended in the sense of like, oh, like you like my initial thought is like, oh, like I don't care. Like you, like I either don't care about you or I just don't care about your opinions. So like I think that has been beneficial to me, and I don't know necessarily where that comes from. Maybe it's like music. Like for the longest time, like I heard, you know, I would sing a lot, and usually mostly I was never get compliments about like my voice. It was always like, oh yeah, like you play guitar pretty good. I'm like, that was
yeah. Also, like you like tried to do like comedy and like stand up and all that.
Yeah.
Way more brutal than like anything any of us will ever do with like development and design.
You're like, oh yeah, that sucks. So I think like that helps, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I am
challenge not accepted. Leave us alone.
Challenge accepted. Oh man. He's got to fly directly to that conference and sit in the front row.
You will find us 5
tomatoes
and Taco Bell are mid.
Oh man,
Jason immediately for the low blows.
That even hurt him to say though, so that no, we're good. No, but like it's one of those things where I'm slowly trying to find a good balance because I think one is like you should never let it affect you. But then two, and like a lot of people say this, like, you know, people like Caleb Porzio, Aaron Francis, who have a lot more negative things said about them than I do. Usually, it's one of those things where like, okay, what can I glean from this? There's always going to be some source of truth in some way, shape, or form, but sometimes there isn't. And so I think
even if there's not like an objective truth, there's always like a can I put myself in their shoes kind of lesson.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm thinking through this mostly from a standpoint of, okay, if I want to be, because I don't want to try to put my content out there as a, hey, I am always like clickbait,
Right. Rage
opinionated.
baited. Yeah.
This is my opinion. No one else cares, kind of thing. I
Hmm.
want to try to be both sides of the coin and
Right.
unbiased as possible. So when I receive feedback that isn't that, is there anything that I could improve upon? So I tried to think through it of like, and I get this even all the time for like even things that isn't like the opinion of like, oh hey, like, the I've gotten comments before like with my new studio setup, which I absolutely love, but people are like
Right.
the multiple camera switching is like way too fast, like too much for me, or I
Yeah.
like this little keyboard sound that I have, and they're
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
like your
that
like app
sucks.
that makes keyboard sounds for you.
Yep. They're like, that sucks. I
Love
don't
that.
like that. Or I like writing on the screen now with my iPad. They're like, no, that sucks.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
usually it's like the things that usually bother me more is less about the things that the content piece and more about presentation.
Yeah,
Interesting enough,
yeah.
because I have more opinions about
That's what
that.
I was gonna. Okay, so I had a follow-up question I was gonna wait for to basically say like, you just said that like you want your content to be like unbiased,
Yeah.
which like I definitely have that same perspective where like naturally I try to like people please. So like it's like
Yeah.
sure, like oh I totally see your side of the argument, like all that kind of stuff. But like
Yeah.
what are the things that you would say Josh is like, no, I will have an opinion on this.
Hmm.
I won't like be unkind to the like to people who disagree with it, but like I'm not going to say, well, you are right. Like you're right too. Like I'll be like, okay, we disagree. I think you're wrong still. Like my
Yeah.
opinion's still right, but I'm not gonna be like unkind in the fact that like you're wrong, but you are, like
Yeah. That's a good question because I think about this a lot from the perspective of, and it's probably like really similar for you with design too. There's probably so much that you're like, I have studied this and I know that this is at least the best I can do this for now. Can it
right.
be better? Sure. But this is, I am satisfied with this, or this is satisfactory. And I think about it from this perspective of like, just the aspect. For example, like John O'Nolan, who we had on the pod for the longest time, didn't like this particular microphone with my voice because he said when he was watching it through a TV, it would like rattle in this particular frequency area.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I turned off this like bass roll off so it has less bass.
Gotcha. Okay.
And stuff like that. Like I
Details.
only know what I know.
Right.
And so I am going to have more opinions about the things that I not necessarily care more about, but I also know that I know more about.
Yeah,
Even if I
yeah.
don't think I know more than you,
Right.
if I'm like, hey, I spent so much
I
time
spent enough
researching.
time to know the options,
Yeah,
and this is the
exactly.
option I want. Like, I understand there are other ones, and there are
Yep.
different approaches, but I chose this one on purpose, and I'm sticking
Yes,
with it.
there you go. That's a
Gotcha.
good way
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, I like
If
it.
it is something that I intentionally did, like writing on my screen with an iPad or
Yep.
having multiple cameras in a single setup, that's what I want. And you cannot like it.
Totally.
You don't have to watch
Absolutely,
the video.
absolutely. Yeah. Clearly, they didn't dislike it enough to, like, not watch it.
I think it was Aaron Francis' comment on like that tweet that I put out. He's like, my favorite way to respond is other than that, how did you like the video?
Right, right, right. That's
Yeah,
such
there
a
you go.
good redirect.
Other than
Oh,
that,
man. So, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting, always a fun question, which is just like, what hills would you die on, basically?
that's basically how it goes, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me that Chantastic on the internet. If y'all don't know who Chan is, y'all need to go follow him. He's such an interesting dude.
He's fun. He's
So
fun. Shout
nice.
out Chan.
So shout out to Chan. He was at Laracon and he was like, "What are your hot takes?" And I was like, I think my hot take is that I don't believe in hot takes. Like I don't have like somebody asked this like, "What hill would you die on?" The hill that I would die on is that I have no hills that are worth dying on. Like there's nothing that I feel so strongly about that I
Mm.
would not consider somebody else's perspective, and like change mine because of it, like professionally. Now,
Okay, I was gonna say,
it's like all the things that don't matter, like what's, for instance, like one of me and Allie's, like we have this argument probably like every other week. So Chick-fil-A, if for those of you who don't have a Chick-fil-A in your town or in your area,
I'm sorry.
Chick-fil-A's do this thing where they have multiple lanes and they have people who walk up and down the lanes, taking orders, delivering the food, even if you're not the one at the front. Like if your food gets done first, they're going to walk it 3 cars back to give it to you. And they've got like people out there with like pads taking orders like way down the line kind of thing. And she feels so strongly that this is the most like, this is not making them faster. This is not actually efficient. And she gets so worked up about it. It is hilarious. And then I'm always like, no, I actually think it's faster. Like this is actually really good and smart. And so we always like, that's like the kind of stuff that we get in like things that we're all like, yeah, I'll buckle down and argue about stuff like that. But if it's like somebody's like, hey, like I think that this color for this button is better than this color, then it's like, I don't really care. Like I do care. Like I'll care. Like I'll have an argument for like why I may have made a decision. But if we all agree that like, let's do this one instead, I'm not gonna like go back to my corner and like throw a fit or or anything like that.
So it's like it's okay to have your opinion and argue for it, and you will gladly have your opinion that you'll say, but it doesn't really matter at the end.
Right. Yes. I always one thing. Will always has a strong opinion, but that strong opinion is always
weakly held. There you go.
Oh yeah. Also, shout out.
This should be a podcast name.
Sorry, should be a podcast. I need to like revive that one now that name is no longer in use. Yeah, I didn't think about the fact that like Chick-fil-A is not a European thing. And
sorry, Florian.
Okay.
I'll email you some.
I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up. We'll do what we got coming up next week. I've got one last Laracon story before we wrap this up. So if anybody has not listened to the Mostly Technical recap, it's hilarious. Aaron has this segment where he talks about like what everybody did after the conference was over the second night and just how crazy the night was. And my story of that night is that I had a flight that left at like 6 a.m. So I had to like be up at 4 a.m. to make sure I got to the Denver airport on time, made it through security, etc. So like I go to bed right after like dinner with a group of people. I don't really go to any like hangouts or big like hopping things where people are going around hanging out. I go to sleep. I'm up at 4 a.m. and I'm sitting in the lobby of the speaker conference of the speakers, like where like all the Laravel people, all the speakers, all this stuff. And as I'm sitting in the lobby waiting for my Uber to show up at 4:30 at this point, who should it be other than some unnamed people that they're like a group of, this is like Laravel conference people, all are like stumbling to the conference, like to the hotel lobby. And at the hotel, you had to use your key card after certain hours to get in. So like it was 4:30, it was still in the time where like you had to have your key card. And I sat there for probably like 4 minutes watching all of them try to like stumble their wallets and stuff out of their pockets, and they're like, and like nothing was working. So I just walked over there and like opened the door for them, and they're all just like, Will, yay, like you saved us. And like, oh, it's hilarious. They're like, shh, don't tell anyone you saw us. And they're like, it is so funny. They're all just like stumbling it. Like, I'm like, I woke up like 30 minutes ago after a full night's sleep, and y'all are just getting back. I was like,
just for the record, I was not part of that group.
Oh no, I did. I wish my flight wasn't that early, because I definitely would have enjoyed getting to hang out.
Oh yeah, I wish I was part of that group. I called it early, like 1 a.m. So yeah,
early 1 a.m.
Yeah. Compared to that group, that's early.
Man, goodness gracious. Yeah, there was like a 4:30 group that came stumbling in, and
surprisingly, there was some people from that 4:30 a.m. group who still went whitewater rafting with us at 8 a.m. the next morning. Yeah,
no way.
Yeah. A good group of
There's
them.
no
Yeah.
way that they probably tried to paddle and it like went in the boat. And they're like, why is it not working?
It was a good wake up call,
Yes,
Floyd.
yes. Oh man,
Florian says
I
we
just had
all
to
went
share that
rafting.
one because
Idiom.
like
There you go.
me and Allie laughed about that one so hard when I was telling
Oh
her
man,
about it. Oh, it's so funny. I was like, that is how to finish off the conference
that's a good
when
way to wrap it
note
up.
to
Yeah.
self, don't have like a super early flight the next day so I can enjoy. There's like a lot of lessons I learned about like actually being able to enjoy the conference next year.
Yeah, I actually had a late flight, like a 10:30 p.m. flight that night. The next night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Right.
god!
You got
I
like some
got it.
terrible stuff planned,
I,
like that rafting thing that
yeah,
day.
I got it moved up because it was actually Friday. It was Friday was my
Mm-hmm.
my flight, and I got moved up. That's why we had no podcast. But what are you doing this week, Will? How you doing?
Oh, this week is we are getting ready to have the first release of our Snowflake Postgres
Okay, there you go.
thing. So I am leading the charge on that for the front end on my team. So there's a lot of work about like trying to figure out how to deploy in a enterprise company. Like
Yeah.
we got through all the hoops of figuring out how to like run the development process. Now we can move very quickly at that. This next week's all about like, well, how do we take the things that we've made and actually get approved for like making it public on production? Lots of feature flagging, lots of like slowly rolling things out and turning things on, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, even though this is due to go live like in September, we have to like start the process already in August to make sure that we don't get like to September. They're like, oh, sorry, like we've got to do this week-long process before you can actually make it available. So there's a lot of that. And then, as mentioned, I got another talk next month
There you go.
at a conference called ValioCon, and I figured out the demos that I want for that. So that's going to be fun. I'll be working on that kind of over this next month for that conference. How about you?
I love it. I personally have I don't take many vacations, mostly because we still got young kids. It's hard to do a lot. Like I usually am I'm the kind of person who my bosses, shout out to Chris Sev, usually have to tell me to take vacation because they're like, hey, you should take time off.
Boss, that's like, hey, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Hey, like, get out. And usually it's like, hey, you're on vacation. You should not be working. But I'm like, what else am I going to do at a hotel when my kids are asleep and my wife is asleep? Like,
right, exactly.
There's not much to do. But yeah, we have a family vacation next week, so I'm excited for that.
Nice.
It's my youngest daughter's birthday. She's gonna be 2. So we're going to Legoland.
That's gonna be fun.
Speaking of Chantastic, last time we were at Legoland, I got to meet up with him in person before I got hired at Laravel, which was fun. So who knows? Maybe I'll get to see him again if he's in town. But yeah, I love it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm just looking forward to, like, it's Tuesday through Friday. Yeah. So it'll be fun.
Rarely get to do that. I think I got the 1 week that we had planned to be off this last summer was the week after we got acquired. So like any thought of like my head being relaxed went out the window that week. So we scheduled another one over like Labor Day where we're gonna take some family time, and I'll
love it.
Enjoy. Henry says the key to early flights, getting home early. An early flight with a huge layover feels like a failure. All right. Disagree here. Here's why. I love an early flight because I know that like I'm going to make the flight and I'm okay with like having to hang out at like a layover because I love working from an airport. I just love working in an environment where it's like you can do nothing else other than like focus and crush like whatever you want to work on. Because it's like technically I'm off of work because I'm flying. Yeah. So it's like I can go learn something. Like I can go play around with like a new project or a new tool or a new thing and like have no guilt because it's like, what am I supposed to like? I'm supposed to not be working today anyway. So like, why not do something fun?
See, I'm like the exact opposite. Not like getting there. I am one of those that like I like to get there, and as soon as I get there, I should be like boarding the plane. Like as soon as like I want to be like running to the gate,
Oh,
and then I'm on the
I
plane.
love just getting to hang out. I don't know what it is. I just love an airport. I love hanging out in an airport. I don't want to be there like all day, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
man, I think I love getting food from an airport, being like on my
Uh,
own. Like, I don't know,
I'm,
something about it.
I'm gonna grab some Taco Bell on the way there. I'm gonna eat it like as I'm walking through security, and then I'm going to literally like get to my gate enough time to maybe go to the bathroom, and then walk in
Okay,
as they're
maybe
calling
I would
boarding group
agree.
C.
In the
Yeah.
morning, yes. Like for your very first flight, I'm not wanting to hang out too long. But I love like if I've got connecting
Layovers.
flights,
Okay.
like
Okay.
I don't mind hanging out at like a layover. All right, Emmett, dude, I feel this to my core. Like me and my wife talked about that, how we're like we're pawning our children off on one of these Saturdays so that we can like just legit get like our house in order after this crazy summer, because it's like summer's about survival. Like you don't care
Yeah.
how like things get out of order, things like you like kids grow up into like new size of clothes, so you've got like drawer full of old clothes and new clothes. So yeah, we've got a couple Saturdays lined up where we're punting the kids to grandparents so we can not
There you
actually
go.
relax but to clean.
There you go. Nice. I love it.
Ooh, quick question for everybody. All right, before we wrap up, Henri says, I love a nice airport.
Nice airport.
What
Okay.
is the nicest airport that you have been? Like, what is your, for anyone who has flown in the chat, if y'all fly a lot and you have an airport that you really like, share it here, because I will share mine. When I went to Laracon EU at the start of this year, I got to go to the Amsterdam airport.
Okay.
That is a fancy airport. Like I would love a layover in that airport. I was not there. Like I landed, so I was like meandering my way out, but I needed to get to like some things because I just landed, so I'm leaving. But man, that airport was like the fanciest airport I think I've ever been to.
I think the fanciest airport I've ever been to was the Qatar airport on my way to India. I had a layover there, going there and
So nice.
coming back. There was literally, it felt like I was in, I don't even know if it was underground. It felt like it was underground, but it felt like I was in this like 4-story mall of an airport. And I'm like, how is this an airport? I think it was underground. It just felt huge. Like I have videos I can probably like share on like, but it's crazy because there's like, oh hey, here's like these like 4 Lamborghinis in here, you know, like I'm like, oh, this is wild. And there was like so much, like so many like restaurants, and there's like buffets. It was a crazy place. I felt like I was in a different world.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, Qatar was my favorite.
Henri says that the I'm assuming this is LaGuardia.
I would assume so. I think, yeah.
That one's nice. Also, yes, this is the Amsterdam one. It's called Schiphol
Schiphol?
or something. This one from Jason, Rochester, is quiet and small. That's
There
how
you go.
mine at Montgomery. Like I fly out of Montgomery, and there are I think 3 or 4 gates. Like I literally show up like 5 minutes before I'm supposed to board, and there's still no like there's like 2 people in line at security, like whatever time of day it is. It's so great. Singapore sounds pretty dope. I would
That's
I would
nice.
love to fly over there.
I do like my local airport in Phoenix, so PHX. It's nice. It's one of those things where it's like it's not big, but it's not small either. So it's like you don't have to take a bus to go to a different terminal. That's usually like the nicer part of it. Portland was really nice. I was in Portland this year as well. That was nice.
Yeah.
And
Okay. SLC is actually pretty cool because, like, when you land at Salt Lake City, it's such a cool, like, you're literally flying into the mountains. Like,
yeah,
you land and you're like in the mountains. So that was, I went there for a remix comp that Henri was actually at
there you go.
a few years ago.
I went there this year for.
First met, and then we got to hang out again at React Miami this year.
There you go. I went to SLC this year and flew there for the first time with Epic Conf.
Oh,
Kent C. Dots Conf, yeah.
dude, I want to go to that one too. Also, LOL, Emmett, you know your local airport is teeny when it's only open on like 2 days a week.
Oh man.
Cool. All right, that's all I got. You got anything, Josh?
I don't think so. It's gonna be a busy weekend, busy week. I leave on Tuesday, so it'll be a busy Monday.
Perfect. All
But
right,
yeah,
Josh.
I'm
That
excited.
means Josh is going to be gone next Friday. I have a guest. I've got
There we
Ben
go.
Holman, who's going to join me to replace Josh next week. Ben is going to talk about this project that he's been working on for 6 years. Pretty pumped about that. And then towards the end of the month, we've got the native PHP boys joining us. So that's going to be
Let's
a super
go.
awesome. Well, y'all have a wonderful Friday and a fantastic weekend. We will see you on the internet and on the show next week.
Next Friday.
Peace.
See ya.